Of course, you are familiar with the name Kevin Conroy, aren't you?
Kevin Conroy?
Indeed.
Sounds familiar, but I don't believe I am so
Voice of
familiar
Batman.
with it. Which one?
Think of every animated movie you've ever seen that's Batman.
Are you supposed to everyone?
Pretty much. Like
I
90%.
thought there were different voice actors for certain ones.
There is, but 9 times out of 10 it's him.
Most. Okay.
If you want to narrow it down even more, Arkham games. He's the voice of Batman in every Arkham game outside of Origins.
Gotcha.
I was upset when he died, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I was heartbroken. But I never really looked into who the person was, you know?
Yeah.
I just knew him as the voice of Batman. I knew he was gay, which, lovely bit of trivia for you. He was a gay man. So, canonically, Batman's gay. That's just how it has to be.
Heard.
Right?
Yeah.
But I've been watching a lot of stuff, and a lot of people around him say, you won't ever find someone with a bad thing to say about him. He was always so positive. He uplifted everybody. You know, you couldn't be sad around him. That's just who he was, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it got me thinking, y'all have heard me on this podcast. People in my personal life know I'm brash. I'm crass. On this podcast, I said if you've disagreed with me or want to make a stupid argument that you should hang yourself. I know that's gone on.
It's a rough statement. Yeah.
Yeah. So it inspires me to be a more positive person, you know. I don't think I could fully be magnetic. Everybody's going to be hyped up around me. I don't ever think, but it makes me want to be more positive. And honestly, I went through my personal TikTok and I started deleting videos. I started deleting videos that I felt were too negative, aimed at one particular person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to be positive and I want to spread that. And then
there's always a but, isn't there?
And then I see someone who makes a video like, oh, I leave my car doors unlocked because nobody can get in my car and drive because it's a stick shift. You know, this generation. And I'm like, okay, I just pictured every way to scalp you and shove C4 into your brain. I paused on your face to imagine what it would be like to shove a grenade down your throat.
Oh, Lord.
And then I'm like, that's much. That's a lot.
It's a bit, yeah. That's unreasonable rage, it sounds like.
No, unreasonable. Let's calm down on the unreasonable. That's not unreasonable.
Angry, but you went from dude talking trash about our generation, I guess, and then you're just like, you should die.
See,
I
two things.
Want to do that to you.
2 things. It was a woman, okay?
Okay.
Which can make it worse depending on who you are. Second, it was a woman that's our age. So she's one of these I was born in the wrong generation types. And you're telling me that she shouldn't be hung from the rafters by just...
I'm not saying she should be executed in any sort of fashion. I mean, maybe she should get beat or,
maybe she just get flogged until she's blind, you know?
But maybe I mean, some people just deserve a good ass whooping, and it's hard to justify, who can, who can't get that.
If you're offended by that, by the way, if you're offended by me saying that, born in the wrong generation types deserve to get killed, you should be. That's what I fully believe, okay? That's what I fully believe. I'm so tired of you. I'm tired of you.
I think he's going to go, it was a joke, and he doubles down. I wasn't expecting it.
No, you think I joke about that. Absolutely not. But, again, I try to be positive. I try to stay positive. I have a clip saved on my phone from one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Cowboy Bebop, right?
Okay.
Spike is in a spaceship, and it's hurling towards this planet, and the pilots of it are freaking out. And he says, you saved my ass. And the main pilot is like, nah, not yet. It's getting hot, dog. This ship's just blowing apart. And his little co-pilot is like, what? I'm a virgin. You can't. Actual thing he said, I'm a virgin. I've never been with a woman. I don't want to die. I'm too young. And Spike just lights up a cigarette, says, whatever happens, happens. Try to live like that. Try to live unbothered. Control what you can control. And then
it's always the and then, isn't it?
And then, can I explain to you what our rent situation was like the past couple days before we get into the philosophy talk?
Sure, yeah.
So, last month, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We paid our rent on a certain day. Come to find out, we didn't pay our rent a certain day. We started the process of paying our rent a certain day. Couple days later, the payment just gets declined. Not only does it get declined, we are charged $25 on top of the $100 late fee that rent is. We're clearly upset. Our landlady just thinks that we didn't have enough money. It's a mess. But we get it sorted out. This month, this past week actually, we think we pay rent. But no, we start the process of paying rent.
Please don't tell me you got declined.
So we start that process on Friday. It's late Monday afternoon. Payment hasn't gone through. Call the landlady. Oh, it shows that you guys started the payment process on Friday. I know. Because we did.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the money not out of the account? And she was like, you got to call this number for that. Okay. Oh, by the way, if that number doesn't work, call the customer service of the app we use. She gives me 2 phone numbers.
Okay.
Apparently, they aren't in charge of processing. Whatever. I call the processing people.
Mm-hmm.
I say, hey, we started this on Friday. It's still not out, and this is the last day it's due because our rent is due on the 5th, right?
Yeah.
They say, it takes a couple business days. Saturday and Sunday aren't business days. It takes a couple business days.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. I paused. And I paused for a little bit. Because previous to last month, as soon as we paid, it was taken out of the account. Immediately taken out of the account.
Yeah.
So, this is what really aggravated me. I paused because I was frustrated. I get the business days, but that's just bouncing through my head. And he says, hello. That's how long I was paused. He says, hello.
Yeah.
And I go, why is it the past 2 months, all of a sudden business days, you have to take into account business days when the previous, couple of years that we've been here, it just, that's never been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you'll have to take that up with your landlady. Huh? You process the money. You, not her. You.
See, what my initial thought was, the previous change from immediate withdrawal to taking a couple business days sounds like they went from running it as a debit or credit transaction to a web e-check transaction. It's the best way I can think of it. Like, that's the kind of the ways I paid for a school, like directly through my bank account. It sounds like they kind of switched to that, because that process, as I've realized, usually takes a couple business days, because there's been times where I've paid like later on a Friday evening and it would not start or it would not happen until a couple days after Monday, since I had started it after like normal business hours on a Friday.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I haven't really been screwed over by anything like that, but that's my understanding of maybe why that change has happened.
It is so ridiculous. That shit is, it's a change that was made because someone wanted to put on the resume that they did something at a company they worked at. It's exactly every change at your job, any job you work at, any change where you're like, why would they do this? It was unnecessary. It complicates things. It makes it actually run a little bit worse. They're just going to tell you somebody wanted on the resume that they changed something, that they had an idea and it got implemented.
Bureaucracy. It sucks sometimes. Say much more. Even though it really sounds like your landlady, either your landlady's not telling you something, or the person at that card processing, whoever the fuck number, just said, I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Yeah, that's probably it, because why would the company it's so stupid that we rent from one company, they use another company to take the rent money, and that company uses another company to process the payment.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's no real easy way around that with the way those processes are laid out nowadays.
But lesson is, keep your head up, chin up, stay positive. It's probably better. It's probably better if you do. Right?
In my experience, it tends to at least feel better.
Results pending. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of positivity, in terms of mindset, in terms of being a human on this planet, what do you think of philosophy? As just a subject.
As a subject, it's a nice conversation to have sometimes.
Yep.
I don't really think about the subject of philosophy very often. Like, if I'm talking philosophy with somebody, it's probably a drunk conversation in most cases.
See, I think a lot. I'm in my head a lot. Even when I'm listening to something and trying to focus on, I think a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think about like philosophy specifically, but there are questions that always pop into my head about, what we're really doing here and what's the point of everything and yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
I will say philosophy, a lot of it is stupid. Be more positive. A lot of philosophy is stupid, dude. Like, there is a philosophical question that people actually think deeply about, where you can't prove that anything existed before last Thursday. You can't prove it. That's a question people think about.
Why is that?
Because philosophy opens the door to people just saying, oh, what's plastic? What is plastic? What's paper? It's fucking stupid. Oh, you can't. I have a picture that I took with my lady last Monday. What if that was made on Thursday? It wasn't. How do you know that? How about I shoot you with a gun? How about that?
I was really trying to think about how that argument would go down. Like, if you just pull out like metadata or something, just, there's always something that you could pull out to show. And then if the answer is just like, well, what if it wasn't? Then what's the argument we're having then? Why are we having this?
There's no discussion. That's not like wow, that makes me think. That's I want to beat your face in.
That's you are being annoying.
But man, I'm a deep thinker, man. Nothing existed past last Thursday. I had a chicken sandwich. That's all I know. You fucking idiot.
Nothing happened past last Thursday, Jack. Didn't you know?
Oh my God. So I have some questions. I have about 15 questions and also 3 philosophical, how you say, or 3 or 4 philosophical scenarios, thought experiments.
Gotcha.
Which one do you want to get into first? What do you want to get into first?
Let's go with a thought experiment since there's less of those.
All right. You can pick one, all right?
All right.
The Ship of Theseus.
Okay.
Drunken Friend. The Experience Machine. The Swamp Man.
I'm going to go with a Drunken Friend since I didn't mention Drunken Talks earlier.
Okay. Honestly, cards on the table. This isn't one that I found. This is a question that has to do with friendship that Nick Saban brought up when talking about Henry Ruggs. Do you know who Henry Ruggs is?
No.
He was a receiver for Alabama. He was drafted by the Raiders, and I'm just going to tell you this and tell you Nick Saban's speech instead of reading what I wrote.
Gotcha.
Drafted by the Raiders, showed a lot of promise, not as like a wide receiver 1, but he was going to be a decent piece for a while. Until one night, got hammered and went 170 miles per hour down the Las Vegas Strip.
Oh, this is the guy we talked about before. I remember that.
Maybe. Yeah, definitely. We probably talked about this whenever the question got brought up first. But he hit a car and he wasn't hurt, but he killed a woman and her dog, I believe. And now he's in prison for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Saban basically says, what kind of friend were you to allow him to grab his keys and walk out that door? So my question is, if your friend gets hammered and you clearly see it, and he grabs his keys, and you see all this, he grabs his keys, walks out the door, and then gets in a fatal crash, how much guilt should you have over that situation?
So I want to reference back to when we talked about this before, and I cannot name which episode it was because it was at the end of one of these episodes, and there is a point in which you are at fault, and there's that also the line in where you are not. Like, if I was there, if I was that friend, if I was, maybe the DD or something, I don't know. And I saw him grab his keys to head out the door. I'm like, where you going? It's like, I'm heading home or doing whatever, wherever the fuck. I'm not letting you do that.
No.
I don't think I've had to stop friends from driving like that before. But I'm not going to let you do that. But there's a point in which this is your shit. If you want to end your shit, you can. I can't stop you past telling you no and, trying to stop you.
Right.
So after you get to that point and that person continues to, go drive off, I've done all I can. I mean, the next best thing is to call the cops and say, hey, there's this guy drunk driving. Right. He's heading this direction, probably going here. Yeah. I mean, that's the most you can do. I don't know if anybody would ever do that in most cases and, in the heat of the moment, but that's the next best thing. I don't think I would feel guilt if I had done that and they had still gone out and killed somebody. I mean, I tried to stop them.
My lady has a very strict rule, and that is if you show up here to a party and we have alcohol, we have a bucket for you to put your keys into. And she will put it where she only knows where it is. And when someone wants to leave, she's going to go grab the bucket. And if she deems you too drunk to leave, you're going to sleep over here. She's not, you're not moving.
Yeah.
I believe she runs that test before she goes and gets that bucket. And in every scenario, when we say that, because I say you take on a little bit of that guilt. Because now that person is probably going to prison for the rest of their life. Someone lost a family member. Someone lost a friend. A lot of bad shit happened. Does that at all take away the responsibility of the action that person... Does it take responsibility from them? No. No. They're serving that prison sentence and they absolutely deserve it.
Yep.
But if you have the opportunity to do something, especially if you're friends with them, doesn't even have to be a man, equal opportunity drinking and driving. I feel like you should step in. And you said do everything you can. I would try my best not to physically assault them if they're really...
That's what I'm saying.
If they're really, pushing at me and, no, I want to make this night better. I want to make chicken, goddammit. Yeah. I might put them in that sleeper hold. You know what I mean? No, I wouldn't do that. But a lot of people I see around topics like this is like, well, it's not my responsibility.
You have some power over the decision making of your friend if your friend is the one going to do these things. You have some power over the decision making. I'm not saying you have complete control because, how would you? But
yeah,
like you have at least a little bit of power to sway their decision to, hey, let's actually not drive.
I will say, how close of a friend do you think there is a level of friend where it's inappropriate to put your foot in that situation? Like, if you are a close friend, it's your duty to do it. If you're a good friend, I feel like you should step in. If you're a friend, I feel like you should step in. But if it's like, I know the guy, we've had some good times, we've hung out in a group. Do you think that you're seeing this happen, and does that change anything?
I don't know. I got to think about how I would respond to like situations like that, because like in every like group scenario that like me and my friends have gone drinking, we've always had some sort of fallback on, if we get too drunk, we'll just sleep here, like situation. Yeah. So I don't know if like about anybody that hasn't had the ability to do that, because anybody we're going to drink with is probably cool enough with us to spend the night on the couch or something.
Yeah.
But as far as stopping, I think the bar like really stops at like acquaintance.
Okay.
Like, I know the guy, we're cool, but he's not like somebody I talk to every day. He's like maybe like a coworker at work I'm a little more friendly with. Like I don't pass like complete fucking stranger, because I don't I'm not going to be paying attention to strangers as much as I am talking and hanging out with friends, right, that are drinking with me. So I'd say acquaintances, because those are probably the closest people that I would be out drinking with or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at that point, like once you're at like acquaintances, maybe you probably should be like, hey man, like don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, I feel like at that point it'd be your job to, like, if the friend group, go get the dudes, Yeah. Go get the guy who's closer to him. Yeah. Because honestly, if you walk up and you're nothing but acquaintances, or, one of the members of the friend group, mm-hmm, dude might just run over you. and then people might think you're the weird one, because you're like, why are you shoving your nose in his business? You know what I mean? Yeah. And they'd be like, he was grabbing his keys. Anyways.
Yeah, at acquaintances, there's like a point in which you're like, you probably shouldn't, you don't know this guy well enough to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Given the chances, but after that, you're just like, hey, like, is he like leaving, or is he just moving his keys?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like that's more responsible than doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah. That moves into the conversation of what truly makes a good friend to you, and how many do you think humans in general, like as a general rule, have the capability of having like a truly close good friend?
I feel like everybody could have a good friend, like a truly close good friend. I have a few of those myself.
I'm saying, is there a limit on like close friends? You know, do you think that you can only have one true person that knows you on a friend level to where you're not sleeping together? You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. And I mean, I think you could have more than, I don't know about a specific limit, because those friends to me are the people I don't have to talk to every day or hang out with every day. Like I could, we could catch up every once in a while, get a drink, or, talk on the phone, Snapchat, whatever, and not have to worry about, anything.
Yeah.
And those are like my true close friends. Like those are still people that I would consider true close friends. And I have more than a few of them. So, I mean, I would like to think that I don't know about a limit to that just yet.
Yeah. I feel like the connection that you have with someone, I want to say it's rare. Just on a person by person basis, I think when you meet someone, you will kind of know off the bat whether or not there is a capacity to, like, there's a limit on how close you two will get. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I say that with, like, I know people might pick this apart and call me whatever, but when I truly think of the possibility of my wife passing way before I'm ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
She always tells me, she's like, you should, like, just in case this happens, you should move on. You should get another person. I don't think I can. I know I'm 24 years old, so I know a lot of older people who have either never been married or been married 3 times are going to tell me, it's a stupid kid, you dumb fuck. But genuinely, I don't think I can have as deep of a connection with her. I don't think I can have that with anybody else. And to me, I've expressed this before, I have a hard time making friends and pulling them really close.
Mm-hmm.
I think you right now are the closest friend I have. And I would call you my best friend. But, and you know a lot about me, but there's still a lot of stuff. I mean, I told you something.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
A couple of weeks ago.
I'm
not going to tell you that. Not going to expose that on the podcast.
We're good.
That's for when the podcast ends and you need a little hit piece on me, all right? That's ammo in that back pocket.
But no, you told me willingly.
Yeah, no, because it was part of the confessions.
I didn't even ask.
You were curious, though. Let's not.
That did not need to be told, this information.
But I think the capacity for me holding people close is very, very, very little, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I say I don't give out numbers because I don't think I want to like try and count up the amount of people that I would consider like my true closest friends. But I think the good term, or I guess a good example that I could think of to explain how I like treat friends, I guess, because this is just how I am. I'm shy. But like my roommate introduced me to like one of my closest friends that I have like to date. And he kept hyping me up, talking about me like, yeah, he's funny, he's hilarious, and whatnot. And like I get to like hanging out with him and I'm like sitting in the corner silent, like not saying shit, just kind of like hanging around, reading the room. And like they tell me to this day, I was like, man, we were like Did Lucas just like lie to us? Because he's been silent like this whole time. But like now we're like cool. Like I cut up with this person like all the time. And I feel like that's how I treat my friends, but there's no limit to the people that I have in that I'm comfortable with in that zone.
See, I had a problem when my friends would hang out with other people. I'd be like, I'll just go somewhere else. But a lot of the times that just render me by myself. Just with my thoughts, dog. And like it's because I'm shy. I don't speak.
Yeah.
My lady has a funny clip that she always references when talking about me and her, and that is in The Last of Us when Ellie is like, "Oh no, he's fine. He just has asshole voice. Tell him everything's fine, Joel." And he just goes, "Everything's great." He goes, "Dude." She says that's me and her to a T because I don't talk. And when I talk, it's usually short. And people might think that I'm upset or I'm just an asshole. She's like,
that sounds
no,
about right.
he's a nice guy. He just, you know?
He just can't express it very well. I see that. Yeah. I see that a lot.
But in summary, I don't think that there might not be a limit on like close friends, but for me, it might just be the fact that it's more tiring than anything else of building that strong connection.
I feel that.
Mixed with the social anxiety, you know, but also mixed with I like having unique relationships. I like having unique bonds with the people around me. Mm-hmm. And I can tell when I meet someone, it's like, oh, we're going to have a few words every now and then, you know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like I've been able to have a very unique friend-like circle.
Yeah.
Just with the type of people I hang out with. Everybody's so different.
Mm. Do you want to hop into another thought or question?
Let's go with the question this time.
Okay, there's one that I was actually thinking about earlier that I really wanted to get into. It's very, very, very relatable to our society right now, actually.
Okay.
Is there anything wrong with being selfish?
There's a degree. That's the best way I can put it. Like, at the very first, put you first, really. Like, put me first. Because, I mean, you got to be able to take care of yourself. So, I mean, of course, you're going to have to be selfish about the things you kind of have to be selfish about. There's, of course, the daily necessities to an extent.
Yeah.
And then there's, whatever else you need. But then there's the point in which you just kind of get the me attitude, I guess. Like, I need this, or they can't have this because I want it type shit. Yeah. That's too much.
I think I'm with you when it comes to like in the middle. You shouldn't be a people pleaser. You shouldn't always be every situation you find yourself in. You shouldn't always be in the mindset of, well, how's this person going to think of this? How is this person going to react to this? Oh, maybe I should do that. Sometimes you need to step in front of line and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's an argument of like a selfish person is going to get what they want when they want a majority of the time. And the selfless person will probably get what they want, but do they really even know what they want? And is that how you actually want to live? Do you know what I mean? Like
there's a limit.
I consider myself a pretty selfless person. I try to think every action as little as like me walking down a hallway. I'm trying to make sure that, am I being too slow? If I'm being too slow, do I need to move out the way for someone behind me to pass me? Am I taking up too much space? Constant, dude. How? Genuine question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your holding the door open rule? What's the rule there?
Oh, you just had to ask me that one. Okay.
Yeah, because I hold the door open, and I'll usually take a look behind me, and then I will judge if you're too far or too close, and I can be hella inconsistent with that. So
yeah,
like,
I am
what's your
too.
rule
Is
of
the
thumb?
issue. So my whole rule of thumb is if I can like sense you're behind me, and like you know that I know that you're behind me.
Yeah.
Like if you see me look at you or something, and I go through a door and you're coming through it, I kind of feel obligated to hold that door open for you.
Yeah.
But if I'm like semi-aware and like you're far enough away that it's like, are we even really heading to the same spot? I don't think I will hold the door open, because if I do, it'll be that awkward like half walk run that you kind of have to give sometimes, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that ever.
Yeah, you don't want to put someone in that situation.
Yeah, and like I've been put in that situation way too many fucking times.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put anybody else in that situation. So there's like probably if we have to give specific measurements, probably around like 20, 30 feet.
Okay.
Like if you're that far away, like there's plausible deniability.
See, I do it in seconds, and usually at Amazon, if I make the decision not to hold the door open, I will count. And if it is under like 4 seconds between, me walking away and hearing the door open, if it's under 4 seconds, I'm like, I could have held the door. If it's over 4 seconds, I'm like, solid. You did good. I will say what is absolutely unacceptable. This is the etiquette for walking through a door in a public space. Okay? Mm-hmm. If someone holds the door open for you, you walk through, you say appreciate it, or however you say thank you. I
Words
say
of
appreciate
acknowledgement,
it.
something.
Yeah. Give a nod, give whatever. Put your hand on the door, look back, and see if anyone else is coming. And that's the train. You don't, and I've gotten to a point now, some people consider me the asshole, because as soon as someone walks through the opening, I let go of the door. And I hold it not all the way out. So they have to at least push the door.
See, I think there's a certain positioning that, okay, let's compare this to the male urinal etiquette here. So, and I think there's like a positioning when it comes to holding the door open and, leaving the opportunity for somebody else to hold the line,
Yeah.
If the door like swings open on the outside, you're standing outside the door and you've pulled it open towards yourself, you're stuck in that spot. You're opening the door for other people, however many people that come through. If you walk through the door and hold it open like behind you, so they're coming through, and then you sort of let go as they're halfway through, that's their fault. That's their problem now. They've got that. So that's what I think about. I try to never put myself in the position to stand outside the door to hold open for multiple people, because I'm trying to go places too. I've got places to be as well.
Absolutely. That's why if I see someone holding it open, I make sure I'm the one to be like, I got you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I will say, just a quick little urinal story. My lady got told by a bunch of kids in high school that they thought I was gay.
All right.
Because in your school, was there like a routine of like the same people would be in the bathroom at this time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So I kind of had my schedule of like when I would use the bathroom, when I had enough time, whatever. Mm-hmm. And usually it'd be the same. Like there'd be different people, but there'd be like the same 4 people going to the bathroom, like on that similar kind of schedule. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, lads. I know the respectful thing is if there's one open urinal and skip one, I gotta piss. I gotta piss.
Yeah.
And to make it a little less awkward for everybody, I start looking them in the eyes. And they don't want to look me in the eye. They start looking all over the place like, nah.
You were
look
that
at me,
kid. You were that kid.
It just made it wasn't. It
You
just
were
made
the type of
situation-
motherfucker that if I had to go to the bathroom and I saw you walk in the bathroom, I'm moving on to the next one.
Probably, unless there was a urinal open, because if you did the one.
No,
skip,
if I
I'm
gotta
not doing
go,
anything.
I'm going to the next one.
What are you talking
Because
about?
what if the situation puts me next to you? What if there's already somebody skipped over? There's only 3 urinals, and and all the fucking stalls are taken.
That's your fault. All right, you took the urinal. All right,
And
you
I gotta
walked
piss.
up there.
And I gotta
can wait.
piss.
I do too. I do too. Why am I the one who's sitting?
So why do you make it uncomfortable for everybody else? If we just gotta piss, why can't you just leave it be?
I gotta lighten the mood.
That's not lightening the mood.
No. You're telling me the proper thing is just
It's
look
gonna make me piss
straight
shy.
forward.
I'm never piss shy.
Dude, I just imagine me going like, yeah, look me in the eyes, dude. How you doing, huh? How's school, huh? How's math? And you're like, shut the fuck up. I got a piss, dude. It's not coming out. Stop talking to me.
One more word and I'm clocking you.
One more word, I'm clocking you, and then I'm going to piss on you. All right? You're going to smell like my piss the rest of the day.
This motherfucker just started staring people down. I can't believe you do some shit like that.
Oh my god, dude.
You know what? I can believe it, actually.
They laughed so hard out of being so uncomfortable. And then they found out who I was dating, and they were like, I thought he was gay. And then in my head, I'm like, so me doing that made you think that I want to suck your dick? That's crazy.
I mean,
that's crazy.
So a lot of the gay people I knew were very bold. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Fair. So back to philosophy. Question or scenario?
Question again.
Do you want to talk about ignorance, or do you want to talk about the will of the people?
Ignorance, because it sounds easier.
Is ignorance bliss? Is ignorance really bliss?
I think I might have mentioned this before, but I don't know if I view is the same as then, but because there's the point of, I say a process at work or something was done wrong, and you had to follow this certain procedure to do something, and you weren't told that. And there's proof or whatever, because they probably sent out some company-wide emails like, hey, do this from now on, and you just didn't get it, and they have logs that show that you didn't get it. So they're like, all right, everybody who's doing this is getting fired, and you're like, wait, isn't that how we're supposed to do it? And they're like, no, what are you talking about? We sent this out. It's like, no, you didn't. And it's like, we'll prove to you we did. Oh shit, we didn't. You're good. Now you know. Not to say that would, actually happen in any real world scenario, but I feel like that's probably better than willful ignorance, because I'm always angry at willful ignorance in a lot of cases.
Well, when I think about this, I honestly think about, I close my eyes and just picture me in the middle of Montana, log cabin, Opie and Maybell to my side, my wife, maybe some kids running around. Log cabin, off the grid, absolutely ignorant to everything happening around the world. I only know the trees around me and the wildlife in it. Mostly, depending on what you think lurks in them woods.
You're a homesteader.
And is that bliss? I would say yes. I would say, if you are going to participate in society, I think taking the willfully ignorant stance is irresponsible to a point. I get, me knowing what's going on with old Donnie, what he's doing up there and what he's talking about, the decisions he's making. I can't do anything, mostly because I got a wife to take care of, right? I can't. It's crazy. I can't do anything because I'm not a politician. I'm not an absolutely crazy person that I do not condone in the slightest taking pop shots at Donnie. You may want to bleep pop shots. I'm trying to dance around
we'll
this.
See how I feel.
I'm trying to... Oh, God. But what I'm saying is, like, I know that I cannot affect what's going on in the White House, what's going on in the Senate, what's going on in the House. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's important to know what's going on, to just have a basis, especially in a society like ours that on paper is supposed to go along the lines of what the people want and what, would benefit us as people. It doesn't work like that all the time. Most of the time, actually, it doesn't work like that. But I feel like, especially in this kind of society, it's important to know what's going on. So if you're going to be, all that to say, if you're going to be a functioning member of the society, I feel like taking the ignorance is bliss route is irresponsible.
I agree with your log cabin example better than my work procedure one. Until World War III breaks out and you didn't know it happened, so you couldn't prepare.
Yeah, but I mean...
I'm just joking, man.
A nuke drops in Montana, you see the mushroom cloud, and you're like, shit, they did it.
You're like, well, guess it's over now.
Grab yourself some of that shine. Some of that shine you've been brewing in the mountains.
Yes, sir.
Get on the porch and kiss your ass goodbye.
Throw some bluegrass on the radio while it still works.
She broke my heart. But no, so I feel like that's a pretty decent little statement on ignorance being bliss.
Yeah.
And I just imagine myself in that cabin, and I am sad. I am sad. It's like, have you kept up with this guy who he worked a corporate job, and I'll try to get through this quick. He worked a corporate job for a tire company, found out that he has some kind of disease or some kind of thing where his spine might slip out and he could get paralyzed. So he ended up thinking about his life, and he was like, fuck this. He quit his job, sold everything he had, got what he could out of his 401k, bought a sailboat, and is now sailing across the world. Took off from Oregon and is going to Hawaii currently. He's on day 6 of a 40-day trip.
Oh. All right.
I see that and I'm like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, presumably, I don't know the whole story here. I hadn't heard this before. So presumably, this disease or whatever doesn't give him long to live.
He was thinking about his mortality. It's like, it's not some disease that, like, it's going to progress over time and he's going to be paralyzed. It's where his spine just sits in a way to where it could literally happen at any moment. It
could happen at any moment. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, justifiable crash out, I guess, if you want to go sailing, and do something.
Did you have to bring the brain rot into this? I'm trying to be serious. Bro had a justifiable crash out.
I'm being serious here. I mean, look, if at any point you think you could be paralyzed, are you not going to do the things you want to do while you can still walk before, having to be limited by a wheelchair or whatever you do before, having to make special accommodations to do anything?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would rather do what I want to do before I'd be, unreasonably stuck in a wheelchair at any random point in time.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I'm not sailing, though. I'm going to be completely honest.
I probably wouldn't be sailing, if we're being honest.
You will not catch my ass sailing.
The biggest boat I've been on so far is a pontoon, so I don't think I'll be sailing to Hawaii anytime soon.
I will get that cabin in Montana and live off the land. That's my plan. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not... If I disappear and y'all see me reappear on a boat in the middle of the ocean, just know I was drugged. I know something. I know something, and they sent my ass out there. You got to come get me. I'm scared.
I got Find My iPhone on. Some of y'all got my location. Just find it.
Hey, Elon Musk. Appreciate Starlink, dog. It's still fuck you, though. All right.
Damn right.
Question or scenario?
We'll end it off with a scenario.
All right. Ship of Theseus, Experience Machine, or the Swamp Man?
Experience Machine.
All right. So, I want you to imagine that someone made a simulation. In this simulation, you can plug yourself into it, and you will live a picture-perfect life. No stresses, no worries, no consequences. You can do whatever you want. It's perfect. And the simulation is so believable that you fully believe that's your reality. Right? This isn't like you put on a VR set and you're aware that it's a video game. No, after a while, you will fully believe that this is your reality, which will basically render you staying there for the rest of your life, however long you have. Mm-hmm. And it's asking, would you stay? If it got to a point where you could choose to stay in that simulation where everything's perfect and there's no consequences and it's heaven, basically. Or would you go back to your regular life?
The basis of any consequences would there be for staying in that simulation? Like paying for it, or, bodily functions, dying faster or some shit?
They said there's absolutely no consequences to plugging yourself into this machine for the rest of your life.
Drive a hard bargain. Oh.
It's rough. I mean, they got all the thick white bitches in there.
100%,
Discord joke.
Yes, sir. I think I would probably go back to real life.
Why is that?
I mean, it's real life. At least I know everything is, 100%, unless I would had memory loss or some shit and just thought the simulation world was real, I probably wouldn't forget, and that would probably be something in the back of my mind. So you
think after a while you wouldn't, because in this it says that you would. It's so believable that in time you will be convinced that it's your reality. But I mean, there can always be that little voice in your head of this isn't real. This is a dream, Yeah. Especially when a lot of things that happen good in your life, you're like, am I dreaming right now? And that little voice is like, yes, wake up, wake up.
I mean, yeah, I get that feeling, and it's just I could see the possibility of eventually forgetting that it's a simulation, but I feel like, just me personally, I feel like there'd be that voice in my head and it'd be annoying. And
yeah,
it's just is this real? I don't think so, and that would be a thought in my head constantly.
Well, I think this opens the door to the part that pain, mistakes, that really plays into your life vaguely. Pain and mistakes and the bad things that you go through and the struggle.
Yeah,
it tries to put that up in your face and say this will all go away. You just have to plug yourself into this machine. And I criticize it, and this is a topic that I don't want to spend a lot of time on, but we can. But in a moral stance, I can't believe in God because of all the evil shit on earth. And I know that's not a unique thing. Plenty of Reddit atheists, which is what I look like, say that shit, but I truly on a moral basis, I can't get on board with a God that is described by most religions. But is it hypocritical for me to say that, but also not want to plug myself into this machine because I think the person I was, the person I am right now, it feels better because I know of the mistakes and everything that I have overcame and fixed and changed to be this person. Yeah. It feels better than if I was just a perfect person throughout my life. A, is that hypocritical of me to say? And B, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the idea of playing God in a simulation is dystopian's not the word I want to think of, but this doesn't feel right. And I feel like I could agree, like the bad things and the good things in life is what brought me to be where I am currently. And if everything was just perfect, I mean, then what's the point?
Yeah.
It means there's nothing significant in your life, really, I guess. Everything is just okay.
Yeah, there is that thing of
Go for it.
I apologize.
I just feel like that's boring, and it makes it meaningless.
Yeah, there is that thing of, to really appreciate the good things you have, you need to go through the bad.
Yeah.
And that just brings the question that I always have of, okay, that is for sure true about our universe and what we know about it through everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the universe like if, you did, like, there were struggles, you could make bad decisions, like financially or with your health or how you acted as a person. Like, there were still struggle, but I guess the truly evil parts of the world and truly what could really screw you up or really mess with your head and everything, if that was taken out, what does that world look like? What does life mean in that world versus what it means now? Because I think right now, life means conquering, overcoming, and becoming the person that you basically want to be for the people around you. At least that's how I see it, right?
Yeah.
That person and that meaning does not work with a world where, you can make a mistake, but it's not anything like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. And I feel like the part where you felt hypocritical is kind of explained, I guess. It kind of just like ties back to like Adam and Eve. Like everything was like perfect before they ate the fruit, and then shit went down.
Those dumb bitches.
Yeah.
For an apple.
Man, and who listens to a snake, man?
A goddamn snake. A snake dropped on my leg the other day. I freaked out. You think if a snake comes up to me and says, "Hey, apple"? No. No.
I don't think so. But I mean, I feel like that exactly what you were saying. It's just what makes it meaningful if everything plays out perfectly. And everything is just average and okay, I guess.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about, it's just, I don't think we can comprehend at all what meaning would be like without struggle and without pain and without hurt. And if we lived in a universe wherever that there was none of that, who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows what life could really mean? It could just mean sitting around in a field eating strawberries and getting head, from those thick white bitches.
I guess so.
Well, this was Red Light Homies. I have a couple more scenarios, a lot more questions, so we might do a part 2. I enjoyed the conversation. Did you enjoy the conversation, Z?
I did enjoy the conversation, Jack.
If y'all enjoy the conversation, make sure you like, rate, and share, especially rating and especially sharing. See what's a rating these fellas could leave on this here podcast.
I'm glad I gave them 5 stars after last Thursday.
Because you didn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
But also sharing, whether that's clicking the crooked arrow, sharing to whatever platform you want to share on, or word of mouth. Word of mouth is very, very important. If someone comes up to you and they say, hey, buddy, I'm taking a philosophy class and I want to hear people take philosophy questions and scenarios to the utmost serious degree with the utmost 5-head shit. Z, where do they go?
Well, you tell them to, well... Yeah, tell them to head on over to the boys Jackie and Z over at Red Light Homies, where they totally had those qualifications in the complete 5 heads and talk about philosophy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the homies Jackie and Z.
That's me.
And we'll see y'all next Monday.
Peace out.